The observation deck of the Caliph surveyor hummed with the low frequency of quantum processors analyzing Earth's biosphere. Lisa stood at the transparent aluminum viewport, her three-fingered hand pressed against the cool surface as she watched the blue-green planet rotate below. Her species, the Caliph, had observed hundreds of worlds, but none had prepared them for humanity. "Commander Lisa, you need to see this," Alex called from the neural interface station. His cranial tendrils pulsed with bioluminescent concern, a Caliph physiological response that predated their technological evolution by millions of years. Lisa moved with the graceful efficiency of a species that had conquered gravity manipulation. Alex was her xenobiology specialist, and in the 3 cycles they'd spent observing Earth, she'd learned to trust his instincts. "What have the surveillance drones captured now?" she asked, though she suspected the answer. Humans never failed to surprise them. Alex gestured to the holographic display. The scene materialized in 3 dimensions: a human female, approximately 30 Earth years old, kneeling beside a large predatory mammal the humans called a wolf. The animal's fur was matted with blood, its leg caught in a metal device the humans ironically called a trap. "Standard rescue behavior," Lisa observed. "We've documented this pattern before. Humans exhibit cross-species empathy even toward apex predators." "Watch," Alex said, his tone carrying an edge that made Lisa's own tendrils flicker orange with anticipation. The human woman worked methodically, speaking in soft tones to the predator. The wolf's lips curled back, exposing fangs capable of crushing bone. Yet the woman didn't retreat. She opened the trap and the wolf lunged, not to escape but to bite. Lisa expected the human to die. The Caliph database contained thousands of instances where human compassion had ended in their demise. It was one of the species' most confounding contradictions. But the woman had anticipated the attack. In a movement too fast for the wolf to counter, she'd wrapped its muzzle with a synthetic material. The predator thrashed, but the human held firm, her own blood now mixing with the animal's as its claws raked her arms. "Analyze her vitals," Lisa commanded. The hologram expanded, overlaying biometric data. Elevated heart rate, increased adrenaline pain receptors firing across multiple nerve clusters, Alex reported. "But look at this. Her prefrontal cortex shows planning activity, not panic. She expected this. She planned for this." The woman cleaned the wound with chemicals from a container, ignoring her own injuries. She applied a synthetic binding to the wolf's leg, then injected something into its flank. The predator's struggles weakened, and finally it lay still. "She sedated it," Lisa murmured. "But why continue helping after it attacked her?" What happened next made both Caliph officers step closer to the hologram. The woman didn't leave. She stayed beside the unconscious predator, applying the same medical attention to her own wounds that she'd given the wolf. Then she set up a shelter, a primitive fabric structure, and positioned herself between the wolf and the direction from which other predators might approach. "She's guarding it," Alex said, his tendrils now pulsing violet with confusion. "She's protecting the animal that tried to kill her." They watched for 6 more Earth hours. The woman maintained her vigil, occasionally checking the wolf's vital signs with crude instruments. When the sedation wore off and the predator regained consciousness, it didn't attack again. Instead, it watched her with what the Caliph emotion recognition algorithms classified as wary assessment. The woman offered food. The wolf refused. She moved the food closer within the wolf's reach, then retreated to the edge of the shelter. After a long period of stillness, the predator ate. "Fascinating," Lisa breathed. "She's establishing a social contract with a species that doesn't share her evolutionary history." "Not a contract," Alex corrected, pulling up comparative data. "Look at this." The hologram split, showing a montage of similar incidents across Earth's surface. Humans feeding injured predators. Humans rescuing animals from environmental disasters. humans releasing creatures from captivity. In every instance, the pattern repeated. Initial violence from the animal, persistent care from the human, eventual acceptance. The other species don't understand this either, Alex continued. Look at the neural scans we took from that rescued bear. Its threat assessment system classified the human as both predator and prey, creating a cognitive paradox. The bear's brain literally rewired itself to create a new category. Lisa felt the familiar weight of a discovery that would reshape their understanding. Show me the long-term data. Alex complied, and the hologram expanded to show years of surveillance. The woman and the wolf, months later, traveling together. The wolf bringing prey to the woman's dwelling. The woman defending the wolf from other humans who saw it as a threat. They've formed a pack structure, Lisa observed. But it's not based on dominance hierarchy, it's based on debt, Alex finished. The human saved the wolf's life, even at risk to her own. The wolf recognized this. In the wolf's neural framework, this created an obligation that transcends species barriers. But that wasn't the most disturbing part. Alex pulled up more data, showing thousands of similar cases across human history. Humans domesticating wolves into dogs over millennia. Humans bonding with predatory felines. Humans even keeping reptiles and arachnids as companions. They're not showing mercy, Lisa said slowly, the realization crystallizing in her consciousness. They're making alliances. Weaponizing compassion, Alex added, his tendrils now dark red with alarm. Every animal they save becomes a potential asset. The dogs guard their dwellings. The cats eliminate pests. Even the predators that should be their enemies become something else. Lisa accessed the Caliph military database, cross-referencing with human behavioral patterns. The correlation made her respiratory system constrict. Humans had used this same pattern with each other, warring tribes that became allies. Enemy soldiers shown mercy who later defected. Entire populations conquered not through force alone, but through strategic compassion that created loyalty where coercion would have fostered rebellion. It's an evolutionary strategy, she said. They don't just compete for resources or territory. They compete for allegiance. Every act of mercy is a potential recruitment. Alex brought up the most recent data. Humans beginning to make contact with extraterrestrial species. In every instance, they'd offered aid, shared resources, shown what appeared to be genuine kindness. Just like with the wolf, he said quietly, they're doing it again with us, with everyone they meet. Lisa thought about the human delegation that would arrive at their homeworld in 3 cycles. The Caliph High Council planned to welcome them with standard diplomatic protocols. But now, they're not just offering friendship, she said. They're offering a compact. Save us when we're wounded and we'll remember. We'll be loyal. We'll join their pack. Should we warn the council? Alex asked. Lisa watched the hologram, where the woman now slept peacefully beside the wolf, the predator's massive head resting protectively across her chest. It was a scene of such profound trust that it seemed almost staged. Warn them of what? Lisa asked. That humans are dangerous because they turn enemies into allies, that they're a threat because they inspire loyalty through kindness. When you say it like that, it sounds absurd, Lisa finished. But it's also the most sophisticated social weaponry we've ever encountered. They don't just defeat their enemies, they convert them. She made a decision that she knew would define her career, possibly her entire species' future. We don't warn the council. We study this more carefully, because if we're going to interact with humanity, we need to understand the difference between genuine mercy and strategic compassion. We need to know if their kindness is a gift or a trap. Alex's tendrils flickered uncertain yellow, and if we can't tell the difference. Lisa looked at the woman and the wolf one more time. The predator had awakened and was licking the woman's wounded arm, cleaning it, caring for her as she had cared for it. Then maybe, she said softly, The difference doesn't matter. Maybe the compact works because both parties benefit. Maybe that's what makes it so effective. As the Caliph surveyor continued its orbit, Lisa began drafting her report. She titled it, Human Social Engineering Through Compassion, a Strategic Analysis. But even as she wrote, she wondered if humanity's greatest weapon was that they didn't see it as a weapon at all. They simply saw a wounded creature and helped it. And somehow, that made them the most formidable species in the galaxy.